Chasing the Sky by Maribo, Chapter 1. Sky watched her shadow clone form as she stifled her chuckle. Amused, she studied as her mother and the rest of her extended female family fell for the lifelike illusion in front of them. In Sky's opinion, her shadow duplicate hammed it up for the audience. As a replica clowned, Sky still hoped this part of the pre-wedding traditions would go faster. They needed to all leave her bedroom suite. Of course, it did not end quickly at all, and Sky's imaginary timer for how long she had to flee this place passed twice already. The dull excuse for the gift portion of her supposed wedding day would never end. When the ending portion finally arrived, her mother, Sky Harkins, questioned the gifts for all the family servants. True to her mystical programming, her shadow clone explained to her mother and the rest of the swarm of women in their bling-filled gowns that it was a new tradition to give gifts to the servants along with the traditional wedding guest gift. Sky grinned and suppressed her giggle again as she viewed her enchanted creation pull off the Harkins Make Tradition posed hot to Sky by her Uncle Bakari. As usual, her mother bought it and let the subject drop with a deep frown. Sky pictured her uncle as she had last seen him, before he and her young cousin Sheila fled. Meet me there if you are ever ready. Remember, my heart, know yourself and follow it. Right afterwards, he zapped out of Larkin's family library away to freedom. She recalled his golden eyes flashed brightly then dimmed as they slowly faded away with his teleportation spell. Finally, they all left her bedroom and went to the ballroom to start the next pre-wedding tradition. She hoped that her brother Tarek, that backward traditionalist, would not spot her magic clone until she walked up the aisle to meet the horrid groom chosen by her mother. By the time he and her father discovered the clone, Sky hoped she would be long gone from the premises. She had 85% faith that her acting as the perfect daughter of the House of Harkins for the last few months would make them not suspicious of her escaping until she ran too far away for them to be able to recapture her. 1,998, 999. Sky counted down from 1,000 before she cast her smoke form spell. Her gold eyes glowed. She twirled around, then chanted Sukum, and she could now walk through solid objects and hide through them. She considered teleporting out, but assumed she might reappear somewhere with people who knew her, and they would know she dared to leave. Once more before she left the room, she checked through her escape plans to make sure that none of the servants or guests would be accused of being her accomplices. Sky did not want any innocents to suffer because of her culture's long-standing held traditions and her mother's horrid preferences in husband candidates. As Sky's eyes glowed again, she started flying out the door and into the hallway. She grimaced at the memory of when her mother told her about why she had picked that man to be her groom, surfaced in her mind. Her mother stood tall and glared at Sky as she said, "You're a lost cause with your research and studying. Maybe the 68th generation family magic users in the House of Larkin will be more obedient and controllable. Amar agreed to let me and your father raise a child, since he has plenty of children from his other wives. I'll make sure to start molding her from day one and not let the child turn out like you. At least you're beautiful and a supreme magic suit user, so despite your quirks, you're wanted on the marriage market." Nope, Sky thought as she shook her head. That conversation reinforced that she must break out of her home. She did not want to have her parents raise her child as strictly as they raised her stricter, and she wanted to research and create magical artifacts instead. Luckily, she and her Uncle Bakari had been planning and secretly arranging things in case this day ever happened, where she would have to escape. When she found her uncle, she would be fine. He had been forced to flee and rebuild on the Islands of Anara when her mother tried to take control of her cousin Sheila, which she never learned. As Sky examined the walkway, two men walked out of a servant's room and threw her smoke form. One of the men's glowing ocean blue eyes captured her attention, and she could not move or look away from him. When she tore her gaze away, her olive-colored cheeks turned bright red. Both men stopped and just looked with mouths open for a moment before the flashier-dressed man with brown eyes raised an eyebrow and said, "Don't panic, darling. We just came for a book, then we'll be on our way." Beautiful Eyes, as Sky nicknamed him just now, flashed a dazzling smile and bowed. "Honestly, Lady Sky, why not jump aboard our skyboat and hijack your way out of here? How long before you use too much inner magical energy and have to sleep? We might even have a job for you on board." Flashy Dresser, as she now called the second man, wrinkled his ivory brow, looked at Beautiful Eyes, and whispered, "What are you doing?" Beautiful Eyes snickered and answered in a voice that Sky could hear and said, "Finding a book quicker and hiring the highest GPA for magical research from our graduating class to work as a member of our crew." Sky examined Biff Handsome men momentarily and rethought her escape plans. What if Beautiful Eyes was correct? She had one big backpack of stuff to keep her alive and fed until she could read her uncle's home. Hesitantly, her head shook yes, and she tried to bite her bottom lip. That silly habit shook her out of her anxious thoughts, and she resolved to escape with Beautiful Eyes and Flashy Dresser. Sky decided she could always sneak away if needed later from these two beautiful men and their crew. She gestured with her hands for them to follow her and walked to the abandoned library with its 8 stories that towered over inhabitants. Sky motioned for them to go in before her. When they said the room was clear, she walked into it. On entering, Sky discovered they knew where to go and what books they wanted. She noticed as they dumped the books from the artifact section into their expanding space bag. "Bickerman, this is really more than we planned." Bickerman, formerly called Beautiful Eyes, remarked, "I know, but my butterfly might want them. It is her areas of expertise, actually. I will have to set up an obituary for her, too." Sky frowned at him because he assumed she would be their employee. The flashy man turned and sneered at Sky as he asked Bickerman, "How do you capture a butterfly?" He sighed and stressed, "By setting her free," laughed, and turned towards a window. Sky narrowed her golden eyes and scrutinized as they both walked to the window. Time seemed to stop as she waited to see what they would do next. She recognized as her eyes glowed and they hummed a tune, then teleported away to the ship outside. Hurried to the window and wide-eyed, momentarily just stared at them, signaling to her from their extra-large, bright pinkish red air yacht. Stunned by but not camouflage at all color of their air yacht and their happy waving figures, she continued to stare open-mouthed until an alarm started to blare. She did not trust them or anyone really, except her uncle, cousin, and their comrades, but they seemed to be her best choice now that her magic clone might have been discovered. As she sighed and once again tried to bite her lip, Sky teleported herself over. Bickerman's smile seemed to glow as he grabbed her hand and dragged her inside the ship so it could teleport away before they were all captured by her mother and her henchmen. When she entered the ship's interior, she saw a woman who towered over her and said, "Well, you can't say Bickerman kidnapped you since you teleported aboard yourself. Please tell me their cheesy, flirty lines did not work." Sky tilted her head to the side and frowned for a moment. "I don't think it was a pickup line. I thought they might be a better way to escape when they walked through my ghost form in the hallway. Honestly, I don't remember them from school, and I've been subconsciously trying to place their faces with names I remember. I was in the always in all-female classes, though, so I've not been able to place them yet. You look really familiar, though. Verdi, is her name Verdi?" The woman bent down, and Sky was concerned Verdi might have hurt herself until she heard laughter. Bickerman and Flashy Dresser said, "Our egos are shot." Sigh. Sky decided they were joking and waited, with her back to the wall, for them to tell her what they expected her to do now that their ship teleported away from her home island.